So I don't know. It's hard to, by applause, who's been married here more than 15 years? Anyone? Yeah, 20? 30? Wow, how many years down here front? 32. 32, very good. To this guy? I could break them up in 2 more jokes. What do you think?
So I've written a couple books in my career. Now, I never set out to be an author, and it wasn't even on my radar, but it happened. The first book I wrote is titled Finding the Funny Fast: How to Create Quick Humor to Connect with Clients, Coworkers, and Crowds. I published it in 2009 because of a combination of things. I was getting more into doing keynote speaking instead of just comedy shows, and people wanted humor, but they had to justify it in their budget, so I had to come up with a message to do a humor keynote. And since I was doing keynotes, I started getting really involved in the speaking business. I'd never really considered myself as a speaker, more just as a comedian, but now I was a keynote speaker. And in the speaking community, every speaker had a book. I sat in on a lot of training for speakers, and they just hammered home the fact that you need a book to sell after your keynote. Also, I was unique in that I was a funny speaker who had actually made a living in comedy clubs. I had an agent tell me once that he had a hard time finding a funny speaker for his clients to book the next year after they'd had me speak because I was comedy club funny. Yeah, it was really nice. I had jokes that were well tested and really funny. Now, since I had jokes, I was getting a lot of people at these conferences coming up to me after the keynote asking how I write the jokes and how do I write them so fast. I try to explain, but that's really hard to do in a short conversation. So I wrote a book about it. The book was easy to write because of my keynotes. Yeah, I have 2 keynotes. One is titled Finding the Funny in Change, and the other is Finding the Funny in Communications. And in both of these keynotes, I talk about tips for using humor in business to do things like diffuse tension and kick off tough conversations and make your information memorable, that sort of stuff. So I just dumped parts of my keynotes that explained how to write humor into a book. Really easy. Now, my second book was published in 2014. It's titled Convention Comedian: Stories and Wisdom from 2 Decades of Chicken Dinners and Comedy Clubs. Yeah, I'd started writing down stories from my comedy career along with lessons I'd learned from each story. It was kind of a blueprint for these podcasts. And then I got a call from a guy who'd seen me at an event. I hadn't really done much on the book aside from writing down a few stories. He had a cancer survivor event that he wanted me to do my comedy at, and he had a budget to buy books. Yeah, but the book I had about comedy writing really wasn't of interest to him. So he asked if I had another book. Yeah, the money he was going to pay me to buy some of the books would easily pay for all the printing costs and the copies he wanted. So I realized I'd be able to publish this book for free. So I said, yeah, I got another book. I'm finishing it up right now. It's stories about my comedy career. He loved it. The event was like 4 months off, so I jumped on it and started writing like crazy. I got my editor to edit it and got it printed in the nick of time and shipped copies to his event. And that's how I came up with my second book. The takeaway tip from this is seize the opportunity. I've said this before, but it's really important enough to repeat. Look around you for opportunities and listen to what people are saying. You'll find some things that you can do that you didn't realize were available to you. And if they sound like fun, do them. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out my website, theworklady.com. This is Jan. Take care and enjoy your journey.